Hello.
Ups. Hola, ¿qué tal?
Bien.
All right.
So tomorrow night we're going to learn Motzei Shabbos at 9:30.
Oh,
You're not here?
No, because Rabbi Abraham Steinberg is speaking at Kalmanson Shul at 6:00. So I need to go to that. He's eating dinner at my house tonight, so I need to go to that. And that would be too early at Shul, and and this way Ben, Abe Kaplan, some of the other people can join Motzei Shabbos. So Maria, send it around.
9:30?
9:30. Harold, tomorrow night, Professor.
Yes.
O'clock.
What happened? No, what's at 9:30?
No, we're gonna do Daf Yomi tomorrow night at 9:30.
Oh, not in the afternoon.
Not in the afternoon because Professor Steinberg is speaking at the Kalmanson Shul at 6:00.
Oh, okay, got it.
Which shul? Which shul?
The Orange Minion.
Base measures of Hancock Park is what
That's what it's called?
What I'm told it's now called. Yes. It's a short blot tomorrow night, so it shouldn't be long.
Today's short also.
Today is short also? Yeah. Well, that's okay. We have things to do before Shabbos.
You gotta get a break once in a while.
Well, all of Cheskas Abatim, that's how this is built. It's short blot. Lamed Zayin. Lav mi Omer Rabbi Shmuel Chad Pei Ravi Chazok L'Kulu Peri. That if, let's say we talk about, you have 30 trees in an orchard and 10 of each type of fruit, apple, orange, and peach. We're on Lamed Zayin Amid Aleph, Walter. Also, tomorrow night, we're teaching Daf Yomi at 9:30 p.m. because Professor Steinberg is speaking at 6 p.m. at the Orange Minion. So I have to go to that. And then it would be too early at Young Israel. So we'll have to do it. It's a short blot tomorrow night. Okay. So we said you have 30 trees in an orchard. You have 3 different types of species of fruit. So if you collect all the fruit of one of the species, that's enough for the whole field. Perhaps it doesn't create a chazaka for the whole field, only chazaka for those 10 trees. Perhaps that's if the other 20 trees didn't produce fruit, only 10 trees produce fruit. And he ate in that year all the payros that type of field produced. Avalamafiki, if all of them produce fruit for lo achal, lo avi chazaka. The trees that he didn't eat from, there would be no chazaka on those. That's the halacha. And that which we said, that if you ate fruit from a certain amount of trees in the field, it creates a chazaka for the whole field. Huta bazi bazuzi. That's because these trees have been scattered around the whole field. So then you have this concept that you can create a chazaka for the whole field because you ate from all of these trees. But if the fruit of the trees that he ate are only in one area, create a chazaka for the whole field. Therefore, we have the following shaila. You have 2 people that are fighting over ownership of trees in a field. One man created a chazaka in the trees. The other had a chazaka only in the land. So, for example, the original owner sold the land to one person and the trees to another person, and each one was machzik on what they owned. For example, the one with the land, he raked it a little bit. He did he used a hoe or a shovel. So that was his act of chazaka in the karka. Remember, karka is koine b'kesef shtava chazaka. Fruit is established eating peiros for 3 years. So Amrav Zvid, zeh kona ilonas, v'zeh kona karka. That's okay. The one guy has chazaka in the fruit with its peiros without the karka. And for example, if the trees dried up, he cannot plant other trees there because he doesn't own the karka. The guy who owns the karka,
I don't understand. The tree is a chalik of the karka.
Amarazvid zekona ilonas leperosam. Original owner can sell the trees to one party, to Ruvain, and can sell the karka to another party. What are you buying when you buy the trees? Rashi says, leperosehem, below karka. And what's the nafkamina? She'im yavshu ha'ilonos. If the trees dried up and aren't producing fruit anymore, and they died, lo yita acherim bimkoman. He doesn't own the karka, so he can't plant new trees. While the trees are alive, he bought the production of peiros that those trees do. So that takes care of, we understand the ownership rights and non-rights to the person who owned the trees. Then Rashi says, Vizek, or the Rashban, Zekana kola karka, the other one owns the land. Afilum yesham shloisha ilonis. Let's say there are 3 trees there. The snan ba'moichas asfina. The kona karka tachteim ubeineim. V'chutz lahem kamolei ora v'salei. A person who bought karka with 3 trees on it. So he bought the land underneath the trees, the land in between the trees. Hanimili b'lokech echad hakoine ilonis b'soch shel chavero. That's in a case where somebody, for example, buys his neighbor has a field, he buys the trees of his neighbor. And the there by rights he gets the karka beneath the tree. Aval hacha b'shnei lekuchos. This is not, I went to my neighbor and bought some of the trees in his land. There I get some of the karka. But if there was original owner Ruvain, and Ruvain sells the trees to Shimon and the karka to Levi, so it's a different case, right? Avalacha b'shnei lekuchos, 2 purchasers shalochim biyachad. Ze ilonos v'zer karka motzi omer le bala karka le bal ilonos. The owner of the trees can say to the owner of the trees, Ki hechad l'didi lesli be ilonos. So I don't have any stake in your trees. L'di chodami lesli chapa karka. You have no right in the karka. And the Gemara will explain that. Amraz v'zeh kana ilonos, v'zeh kana karka. So, maskif la Rav Papa. Im kain, ein lo l'bal ilonos b'karka klum. Comes out that the owner of the trees doesn't have any karka. It's not like the case where I went to my neighbor and I bought 3 trees. There I do get karka. But in the case where I just have the tree, I have no karka at all. So then, can the owner of the land tell the owner of the trees, listen, uproot your trees and get out of my land? The answer is he can't do that. The one who bought the ilonos gets half the land, meaning the land underneath it, the land in between, and the other one only had about half the land. Okay. Pshita, it's a dover portion for us. Machar karka v'shayri ilonos lefanav. The person sold a field, and he sold the land, but he kept some trees for himself. Yesh lo karka. he retained ownership in some of the land underneath his trees a little bit next door. Now, the Afil Rabbi Kiva, the Omar, Moicher ba'ayin yofa moicher. We have a debate in another sugya later on in Amoicher Sabayis when we talk about the laws of selling a house on Daf Samech Daled. That let's say a house has a water cistern, right, a bore in front of it. So Rabbi Kiva holds that when you sell ba'ayin yofa. So you don't retain ownership, not of the bore, and not even of the right of way to the bore. When hanimili gabi bor v'dus, that's regarding one of these constructs for water, because those things lo mekakshu ba'ara, they don't damage the ground. So the seller doesn't have any reason why he's keeping any part of this land for himself, like the bor and the dus. That's why we say Rabbi Kiva holds when you sell the ayin yofa, because the water cisterns don't do any damage if he didn't retain ownership. Aval ilonois. But when a person is selling, he has a field, and in the field are trees, and he's keeping the trees, and he's selling the land, and the trees, the mekakshi ba'ara, shiuri shire, he does, even Rabbi Kiva will hold that you retain some ownership in the karka near the trees. Hilo shire, because if he didn't do that, lay malay, the guy who bought the land will say, okar ilon of Vizil, uproot your trees and get off my property. But mochar ilonis, if he, not that he sold the land and he retained trees, but rather he sold the trees and clearly shire karka lefodav, and he also said, I'm going to retain some land, that already might be related to the pluk to the Rabbi Kiva Rabbanon. That means Rabbi Kiva who holds that a seller sells with a good eye. Islay, the purchaser needs karka for the purpose of his trees. So therefore the seller will sell him some of the karka. But the Rabbanon, who hold that a seller sells ba'ayin raw, Leslie, maybe the purchaser of the trees will not acquire any of the karka. Now, Rabbi Kiva Islay, Rabbi Kiva, who holds that you sell ba'ayin yofa, will say that the purchaser will get some of the karka. Va'afilu Rav Zvid, right? The case we brought before, two people claiming that they bought, two people are being machzik in the field, one the land and one the trees. The Omar Einlo, there Rav Zvid said the purchaser of the trees doesn't get any karka. Hanamili gabi shnei lekuchos. That's where Ruvain sold to two different people, Shimon and Levi. The Omar Lei, there, the one who bought the land can say, Ki hechid lidi Leslie, I have no right in your lonois, in your trees, l'tichonami Leslie bekarka. You have no rights in my land at all. Aval hocha, but here we are not selling to two people, you're selling to one person. Moicher ba'ayin yofa moicher. He sells with a good eye, and therefore the purchaser did buy some land that were underneath the trees. However, on the other side, the Rabbanon Leslie, Rabbanon hold that a person sells ba'ayin raw, and therefore the purchaser doesn't get any karka. I feel Rav Papa, who said in the case of two purchasers that sheyeshlo, that they each get 50 and 50, that's when Ruvain sold to Shimon and Levi, not to one person. To Omer Lei, because they have that migu ki echid l'dichozavin, ba'ayin yofa l'dichod nami zavin. Each one got sold ba'ayin yofa. and he left me a little schus, i.e., I who purchased the Ilonis have a little karka underneath my trees. Aval hachab, when you sell to one person, each one maybe goes according to their own shita. Rabbi Kiva moicha bayin yafa, but the chachamim moicha bayin ra moicher. Amri nardoi. So if you eat from a fruit orchard for 3 years, achlan ritzufin, let's say these trees were not planted well, where they have a lot of space in between them, but they were crowded. So ein lo chazaka, because these trees are not going to survive, because they weren't planted properly. Maski florova elameata high mishra das pasta b'maikonile. Alfalfa, which grows in the field, they grow right on top of each other. So how are you going to acquire them? El amarava machron ritzufin elo karka means if you sell an orchard with trees that are planted very close, then the purchaser doesn't get any land underneath the trees. We're talking about 3 trees or more. Normally, if you buy 3 trees or more, you get some land in a regular orchard. But with trees that have been planted this way, they're going to be uprooted. They're not planted for long lasting, and therefore it doesn't establish chazak. Amrab Zera. This issue is tanoi, is a machlokes tanoi. What's the case? Kerem shunatua pochos mar ba'amis. You have a vineyard, so the grapes have been planted very close to each other, so that they've been planted next less than arba amis from each other. Reb Shimon Omer Eino Kerem. It's not considered halachically a kerem regarding klaya kerem or any other reason. The chachamim Omer Reza Kerem. Even though they weren't planted perfectly. Roy and Esayim Tsoyim. We see these extra grape bushes that were planted, Keilu Einon, as if they're not there. And therefore you have a kerem. Even though right now they've been planted real crowded, and it's so they're not planted roy perfectly, but it doesn't take away the shem kerem. And therefore, if you sold such a kerem, you would include the land with the purchase. Somebody sells a palm tree to his friend. You buy the land all the way down to the center of the earth. The roots until all the way down, even though it's a single palm tree. Because normally we say, even if you buy 2 trees, there's no karka. We're talking about the karka around the tree. He doesn't get anything. But right directly underneath the tree, he gets, even if he only bought a single tree. Normally the din that you get karka, it's got to be 3 trees. Okay. We'll stop here. And
Yeah, see you 9:30.
9:30 tomorrow. Have a good Shabbos.
Just to
everybody.
let you know, everybody, the Shabbos, that
Yep.
Rav Agon, Rav Ernie Agustin will be giving the drosha at Yabni tomorrow.